Welcome to my Reinvent Yourself video series, where I'll be sharing easy to implement tips on how to effectively reinvent yourself no matter the circumstances. Hi, I'm Elizabeth Suarez, and as a leadership and negotiation strategist, I have seen firsthand how outside circumstances can make us overwhelmed and stressed, resulting in unproductive outcomes. Unfortunately, these outcomes lead us into uncertainty and make us ponder about our future and worth. We are all capable of taking control of our future and reinventing ourselves when needed. The act of reinventing should not be cumbersome. Instead, it should be viewed as a dance where you learn the choreography and execute it beautifully. In my Reinvent Yourself series, I have chosen the choreography or tips that will provide the best outcome for your time and effort. So this video focuses on the art of showing composure, even when your surroundings are totally out of control. I classify composure as the transition you engage into while moving between discussions and tasks. Like a dance, the transition between the steps are what create the masterpiece that we all love to watch. With that in mind, let's start perfecting our transitions. Think about a time in the past month you experienced a sense of frustration that led to not coming across calm and collected. How did you feel afterwards? No matter the circumstances, being able to come across composed and collected is a differentiation factor for any professional, especially now. Here are 3 ways to exhibit a strong composure, even when you have no control of the situation. So let's go ahead and get started. Number 1, the first step, I call it self-talk with coping statements. What does this entail? When things are out of control, it is human nature to divert into negative thinking, which leads to frustration, anger, and fear. Instead, we need to have our coping statements, which are created by having 2 parts. The first part must be positively phrased when you're creating this coping statement. The second part must be stated in the present tense. So the key about these statements is to focus on positive behavior. There's nothing negative about the coping statements. You develop these statements by filling in the blank of I am with a positive outcome. Instead of saying, I'm not going to get angry, what about saying, I'm cool and calm? Here's another example. Instead of saying, I'm not going to lose it, what about saying, I'm strong? You see, it is important to practice these coping statements so they become part of your daily repertoire. So when something goes very negative on you, you bring to your mind immediately these coping statements. I encourage you to at least write 2 or 3 or 4 coping statements that you have next to you on a daily basis and you refer to once things get a little bit heated. So that comes to the coping statements, step number 1. Now, let's go into step number 2 in order to gain your composure. I call this playing the poker face or showing a poker face. Basically, what is happening nowadays is that we're living in a very polarized world where people feel they must be right at all times and don't embrace different opinions. During uncertain times, this polarization even gets stronger. So when you're using your coping statements, you also have to practice external communication. And what does this entail? Entails showing neutrality and entails showing calmness. Easier said than done. So how can you do this? I call this the ACT strategy, ACT, where A stands for acknowledge the person's information that he or she just shared with you. C, change the topic respectfully. And T, thank them in order to move on onto another topic, or even move on if you want to go physically get out of the conversation. So, how do you do that? Use statements like the following. For instance, when it comes to the acknowledge the person's information, you can say, I find the information you shared very interesting. You make a statement. When it comes to change the topic with thank them in order to move on, I have put these two together. What I do is, at this moment, I don't need any more information on this topic. Thank you for sharing. I would like to get your input on the following instead. As you can see, you're moving the discussion into something that maybe is a topic that you both could have similar perspectives and ideas, and therefore have a very successful discussion and learn from each other. So now we have the coping statements, now we have the poker face, we're ready to go. Internally, we have controlled ourselves, and externally, we are expressing perfectly how we feel. However, there's always this third step that's very important. And this step is what I call keep your eye on the ball. After you have implemented the coping statements and poker face steps, and you still feel out of control, it's time for you to question yourself. What am I trying to accomplish? In other words, what is your finish line for today, this week, this month, or even this year? Based on your truthful response to that question, then ponder if it's even worth it to spend any more energy on the topic that you have such differences. So with that, based on your response, it helps you stay focused on the finish line. You are a step closer to reaching your goal. That's all we always are focusing on. Don't let all the noise surrounding us during difficult times divert our attention. Instead, let's take control back of our reactions. This small act guarantees a positive outcome at all times. Try it and let me know how it goes. Remember, nobody is able to control every aspect of their lives, career, or environments. However, all of us are capable of controlling how we react to what is thrown at us. By following these 3 steps, creating your coping statements, showing your poker face, and keeping the eye on the ball, you will feel more in control of your outcome. It's time to take control back and only worry about the stuff we can actually manage and influence. Hope you find these 3 steps helpful. I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Speaker Elizabeth Suarez, so you can have access to more videos of my Reinvent Yourself series, as well as more leadership and negotiation resources. Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.